Hello, what's up? Welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Today, we are going to dive deep into the topic about strong women syndrome, aka Miss Independent. Says Miss Independent speaking right here, by the way. So I'm in this with you guys. Now, one of the things that I really want to touch on today is how our hyper-independence can really affect us in receiving an intimacy and in relationships and in love. And I see this is such a prevalent theme among many women who just have their own. And I'm not telling you, like, don't have your own. I think it's important to make your fucking money. It's important to know how to hold yourself. It's important to honor your solitude and all of that, because your girl over here does the same thing, okay? And there needs to be something within us too, like if you're planning to create a conscious relationship where you feel safe with this person, there are going to be armors that you have to take off, including parts of your hyper independence, because independence is great, but when it becomes hyper, that's when it becomes a problem, right? And so I see this with so many of my clients. I see this in some of my friends too, because the hyper independence is a form of control. And look, I'm not shaming your independence at all. Your independence is a beautiful, beautiful fucking thing. And it can also take over your femininity and how you're showing up in your divine femininity. Because us women, we are naturally wired to be taken care of. And again, like I'm saying, get your own, get your bag, get it, what it is that you need to get. And also too, just remember that you're worth being taken care of, and that the over self-reliance can actually be hindering you. And I know we hear this a lot of, like, some of the sayings that we hear is like decenter men, or you can't rely on anybody but yourself. And while like the second part about like you can't rely on anybody but yourself, while that can have true aspects to it, I also just want to challenge you to, like, what do you want to believe about men? What do you want to believe about yourself? What do you want to believe about love and when it comes to taking care of one another? Because say you didn't have all this armor on, so you didn't have to be completely independent, and there was like you stripped away all of like the what ifs around the pain, or if someone's going to betray you, and you were just like open and you just knew things were going to work out, then how would you be showing up? You would be so much more in your open energy. You would allow yourself to be taken care of. You would allow yourself to receive. But it's our humanness and our nervous system and the way that our brains have worked, especially after you've undergone extensive amount of trauma and complex trauma. If you've been cheated on, if you've been betrayed, if you don't have a great relationship with your mom or your dad, like, so there's so many factors that go into all of this. And it's really important to not just understand where the root cause of your hyper independence is coming from, but actually taking steps towards the integration of not necessarily undoing your independence, but just being mindful of, like, okay, when are you choosing to be an independent baddie? And when are you like, I'm a fucking queen? I mean, you're always a queen 100% of the time. But like when you're allowing yourself to just actually be taken care of, instead of saying like, no, it's okay, I'll do it. Like that, this was something that I had to work on, where, you know, somebody would be trying to help me and I'm like, no, like, it's okay, I got it, don't worry. And there were times where genuinely, like, I just didn't want somebody else to do it, like, not out of like a control piece, but I'm just like, I don't know, I just didn't want them to do it. I don't know why. And then there's other times where I'm like, I actually really did want the help, but I was saying no because I felt like, oh, they're just doing this to be nice. Oh, they're just doing this to pity me. And I don't want pittiness. I want someone to be genuine. But I wasn't allowing someone to be genuine with me. And trust me, if you're listening to this, I'm sure this is ringing so true for you, where someone has like wanted to pour into you and wanted to help you, whether it be a male or a friend or whatever it is. And you were like, nah, like, I got it. Because that's what strong women syndrome, those are the symptoms. That's like the key phrase in strong woman syndrome is like, no, it's okay, I got it. No, it's okay. Oh, this is all of this. Oh, this is a big one too, of like when your friend, this happened to me today and I caught myself in it. Your friend was just like, oh, like, how are you doing? And I was like, well, honestly, like I have some shit happening. And I was explaining to her and I'm like, but I'm good. And like, yeah, obviously I know I'm good. But she was reaching out and she was like, hey, like, I'm here for you if you need anything. And that's what she said to me after. She's like, I'm always here for you, right? And I was like, yeah, baby, thank you so much. And I had to just come back to myself and center myself and be like, you didn't even have to say, but like, you're good. It's because we're constantly trying to, one, save face for ourselves of like, okay, like I don't want them to know that I'm struggling or that I'm having challenges. So I'm just going to tell them what the challenge is because, I don't want to lie about it. Or, you tell them the challenge and they're like, so they know what's happening. And then you're just like, yeah, but I'm good. I got it. Right. And like, that's a beautiful thing for you to like have yourself and to know how to handle your shit. Like, I love that about myself too. And like I said, that there's times of discernment where you can know that you have yourself and you can let other people have you too. So anyway, that is my rant on strong woman syndrome, but let's get into it. Okay. So I have some notes here that I wanted to touch on. Okay. So I kind of touched on this, but like I want you to just understand like some of these. I keep calling them symptoms because the podcast episode name is like strong woman syndrome. When you have syndromes, you have symptoms. So anyway, so one of them is overfunctioning in relationships, emotional self-reliance to the point of isolation. Okay, difficulty receiving support, care, or just allowing somebody else to lead you as well too. And this is a big one, is always being the quote unquote stable one. The one who holds it all together, the one who has her shit figured out, the one who like, honestly, this is not me because like I'm super fucking emotional and like sensitive, but I know a lot of people who are just like, they don't show a lot of emotions in front of people because they want to be seen as the stable one. They don't want anybody to fuck with them. And while that can be helpful, again, like it's another piece of armor that possibly needs to come undone with the right people. Okay. This one's so good. Like the pride of not needing anybody, wearing the hyper independence as like a badge of honor of like what I was saying in the beginning of the episode is like, I don't need a man. I hear that all the time from women, is like, I don't need a man. And it's like, honestly, it's fine that you feel that way. Like if that truly rings true to you, then like do you baby girl. But I feel deep down in everybody's soul, they want a man. And I'm talking about heterosexual relationships, but it's like the only reason a lot of women are saying that I don't need a man is because they've been wronged by a lot of men. And like, while that is valid, okay, trust me, I've been wronged by a lot of men too. But I'm never going to say that I don't need a man. I'm never going to say that because like your girl I'm getting married. I'm going to be getting married. I want my man. I want my man. And we need it because like okay. And this is a lot of, if you're single and you're listening to this, and especially if you live alone, girl, you know how nice it is to have somebody carry the load with you, like both financially and stuff to like chores around the house and even emotionally too, right? Like, yeah, like maybe don't quote unquote need a man, but honestly, we're all biologically wired for love. We are. That's like the main reason why we've come to earth, is to be loved and to follow our purpose and to like, and that's like one of the deep rooted things. And if you can go back to your childhood, like think about if you were bullied, like that led back to like, okay, that's an indication that I'm not loved. okay? Or if you were excluded, it's an indication if you were not loved. I'm not saying that this is true, but that's how the mind works, right? And so I think as humans, like based on these like compiled experiences and these consecutive experiences that have caused you to not feel good about yourself or to not feel good about love, it's gotten you to the point where like you've given up. And so being independent is just like quote unquote easier. And this is a big thing that I see happening, is where many people are just like leaving relationships without even actually trying, because there's just so many options available to them. But like, what happens when, you know, you've like gone through all your options, and yeah, maybe they're like unlimited, which like, yeah, obviously they are. But it's like, how beautiful is it to go deep with someone and like actually say like, we actually worked, we were mirrors of each other, we worked our shit out. And yeah, like we both do rely on each other in a healthy way. Like there's nothing wrong with relying on someone in a healthy way. We all need that. And so, Miss Independent, let yourself be taken care of. Let yourself need someone in a healthy way, and let somebody need you too. Okay, next, I'm like riffing on off these points when really I was just supposed to be naming them off. But what happens when your girl is all riled up? Oh yeah, okay, so hyper independence disguised as empowerment. Yes, being independent is very empowering. And I honestly, as someone who is independent, like I love that about myself too. But, you know, just like what I've been saying over this whole episode is like wearing it as a badge of honor when like deep down, you know, damn, like I really want to be in a relationship and I really want to be loved with someone who I can trust, right? But then you're saying, fuck men, or I don't need a man, or I don't need love, and like calling that empowerment, like, baby, it is not empowerment if that's something that you deeply want. That is just you giving up on your desire. And while I understand it, you got to come back to faith. You got to come back to faith for this one, because if you have that deep desire in your heart, you have to know that God has that in store for you. And maybe it's just taking a little bit longer. Maybe there's still stuff you have to learn. Maybe there's still stuff that your soulmate has to learn. Sometimes you did all the work. We're never going to be done the work. But what I mean, like sometimes you really are ready and your person is still preparing for you. And that's okay. But just want to invite you to let go of the front of like having to be strong all the time. Okay. And so if you consider yourself to be an independent woman and you're like, I don't even know how I got here. I don't even know how I got to a point where I'm so hyper independent that I can't release control. I can't let anybody in. I feel like I can only rely on myself. And I'm sure you know this about yourself already, but it 100% stems from either childhood trauma, the relationship that you had with your parents, and like how you were expected to show up. One of the most common things that I see is like you've had to really mature faster than your age at a young, like you had to grow up faster than you did, and that can create a lot of emotional responsibility for a child, and just you taking that into your adulthood, like not really, like obviously like when you're a kid, like you don't know that you're doing that, right? And you know, maybe you heard as a kid like how special you are, how mature you are, and like, well, those things are obviously fucking true about you, like we're not going to take away from that. But it's also like, it's sad because like, why did you have to be that emotionally mature? And maybe like, hey, like maybe you didn't go through a lot of shit and you were just born emotionally mature because you had parents who like really nurtured your emotional intelligence. Like that could be true too. But from what I've observed, in like my 10 plus years in clinical social work is like, it usually roots back to a lot of childhood stuff and like the parent-child dynamic, right? And so I want you to think back around like, okay, like when did you feel the first time in your life that you had to be responsible for another person's feelings, behaviors? And I know like you must have been really small when this happened or really young, but think about how it impacted you in like your feeling in your body. Like, what did that feel like in your body? And it's most likely the same thing of what you're feeling right now as somebody who's an adult and who probably still feels responsible for fixing people or for taking responsibility or being the strong one. Like, what does that actually feel like on a sensational level? Is it heaviness? Is it tightness in the chest? Is it like an overactive mind? Like, really get in tune with what that is for you, because it's going to be really important for you for when you are disarmoring this hyper independence part of you. And again, we want to remember this too. If you're not familiar with parts work, I would really highly recommend that you look it up. And I bring it up in a lot of my episodes because yes, you're independent, and that's just one part of you. There's so many other parts of you. There's probably a part of you that's like not independent in certain areas of your life where you do need help or you want help for it. Okay, there's probably parts of you that are emotionally mature, and then there's other parts where, you know, you're possibly not as mature as you want to be. Okay, like there's all of this, like our life is so complex, and us as human beings, we're so complex, right? And so we have to start seeing ourselves from a parts perspective, because a lot of the times what can happen, I was just having this conversation with my client today, is like a lot of what can happen is when we tend to notice our flaws or our quote unquote bad traits first and harp on them instead of embracing the good parts about us, right? Like just as human beings, that's just what we do. But that's when mindset work comes in and changing all of that. Get into my one-on-ones, aka, because that's where we figure that shit out. But when we focus, like we can tend to focus on that part of ourselves that we're trying to like quote unquote fix, or the part of ourselves that we're trying to heal, and we can make it feel like that's the whole part of us. You know, I know when I was going through my healing journey and I was very reactive in a lot of my relationships, where I would have these outbursts sometimes that were actually uncalled for. And that made me feel like that was all of who I was. And that's not true. Like, there's so many other beautiful parts of me, right? And so I want you to take that. If there's one thing that you take away from this episode, is really understanding the different parts of yourself and understanding that this hyper independent part of you is just one small piece of you, and that you have so many other beautiful layers to yourself. Okay. So where does this come from? Like it's trauma and conditioning, childhood trauma, emotional neglect, parentification, inconsistent caregiving, past abusive relationships, being this is a good one. Being praised for being low maintenance. Baby girl, you are not low maintenance. Like, let me fucking repeat that for you, because I'm going to get like really fucking real with you guys right now, okay? Like throwing professionalism out the door just for a second, okay? The woman who is fucking low maintenance, she does not get what she fucking wants, okay? And personally, she's not fucking respected. Now, I think everybody should be respected, regardless of their trauma responses or anything like that. 100%, okay? But I want you to know that if somebody is praising you for just being low maintenance, no, absolutely not. Now, obviously we have to have discernment with that. Like if you're somebody who is like constantly like really bringing up a lot of problems that are irrelevant or just starting drama, like that's different. But also too, like I've been called this too, where it's just like, oh, you're problematic. And oftentimes when you're in an environment, like this is another thing to pay attention to, of like, who the fuck is telling you that, like, who's praising you for being low maintenance, and who is like knocking is, oh my gosh, I cannot fucking talk. It's like 11 o'clock at night, past my bedtime. So my brain is not working. But we have to get this episode out because I was fired up about this. Anyway, we have to pay attention to like the person in the environment who's actually telling you these things, okay? Because if you know that somebody who has not done the work on themselves, or they're not where they want to be in their life, especially at like an emotional intelligence level, and they're giving you this fucking feedback, like, you really get to decide if that's something that you want to take on or not. For real. Because yeah, like being low maintenance, it does not mean that like it doesn't mean that you're more of worth. Okay? Like, this is what happens when you are actually discovering your worth and you start to come out of that fucking like that identity where like you're not saying anything because you don't want to rock the boat, or you know, you don't want to upset anybody, because that's what like being low maintenance is. It's literally fucking suppressing your emotions, suppressing your needs, because you want to maintain the relationship. Okay? And let me tell you, baby girl, I'm not telling you to like be how can I say this? Like, I'm not telling you to be like the princess who is like demanding, okay? Like, that's not what I'm telling you at all. But like, one of the things that I really want you to understand about this specific topic is like, you can be this like strong, independent woman and have a backbone, and you can also be loved and be soft as well too. Okay? Anyway, sorry, I just riffed on like the low maintenance part because it just really pissed me off, like, because I know how that feels, and I know that so many of you guys who are listening, that you know, you either are a recovering people pleaser, or you're still in those habits of people pleasing. And I just want you to know that like you just don't have to be low maintenance. Like, that doesn't make you more of worth. It's going to slowly kill you inside. So do not do that. Okay. Okay. So let's talk about how this strong woman syndrome is actually showing up in your love life. Okay. You might be attracting partners who need help or guidance, and that might be making you feel really good because you're like, okay, like, it's making you feel important, right? Strong, independent women, like, we like to feel important, and ain't nothing wrong with feeling important, but we want to be discerning about like why we want to feel important. So in other words, like, you're not here to fix anybody. You're here to focus on yourself, and you're here to heal yourself. Okay? You're here to focus on your own journey and attract in love that is complementary to what you're doing on yourself. All that personal development, that beautiful heart of yours, all of that, okay, needs to be complemented. You're not taking your personal development and that beautiful heart, you're not trying to fucking be the fixer or the savior, okay? Because that's how it's showing up in your love life right now, okay? Another place where it could be showing up is like you're struggling to relax in the relationship because you're so hyper vigilant as well too. You're waiting for the other shoe to drop because that's what you're used to. And that can, even though you're not able to relax, you being on high alert all the time can actually feel like you're protecting yourself, but really it's just fucking damaging your fucking nervous system. So, okay, like, let's talk about how we can relax more in the relationship, okay? I think it really comes down to building a relationship with yourself and trusting yourself. Because just like say you chose the wrong partner, are you going to trust yourself to get yourself out of that situation? Or you're going to beat yourself up of like, fuck, I should have known better. Like, no, there was obviously a reason why you went through that relationship, why you went into that relationship, either for a lesson or you need to learn something about yourself. Sometimes you're the lesson to somebody else. So there's multiple reasons why you might not be able to feel like you're relaxing in the relationship, but it all comes down to self-trust, because at the end of the day, look, if you know that you can be that strong, independent woman, and this is where the strong woman syndrome can actually like be a benefit. Because if you get yourself into a situation where you're like, fuck, I fucked up, or like I made a decision and didn't turn out the way that I wanted to. Bitch, you have strong woman syndrome. You can get your fucking self out of that. Okay? But in regards to like relaxing, like it's like just really learning how to trust yourself and saying, okay, like no matter what happens, like I got myself. I know that that's easier said than done. It's easier said than done. It still comes up for me too. So I don't want you to feel like this has to be done overnight, but it is something that I would invite you to work on, because if you're not able to fully relax in a relationship, especially if you're someone who's looking to get married, like that should be the place where you feel safe. And if you don't, a lot of the times, like you're probably in a wrong dynamic, or there's stuff that you need to work on in yourself, right? Or both. Okay. So another way it can show up is you feeling resentful when giving more than you receive. This is a good one. So you are constantly showing up for people, gift giving. Oh gosh, like that's my weakness, fucking gift giving. I love giving people gifts, but that there's times where it's like you can be over giving and you're like, fuck, like I feel like I'm not getting back what I give, right? And I think in every relationship there should be reciprocation, and knowing when and how and what to give, I think is really important. And I think that's where like discernment needs to come in. Okay. And that's going to avoid the resentment, right? And also taking responsibility that you're an adult. Okay. You made these decisions to give. And while yes, reciprocity is absolutely crucial. Okay. And you deserve to receive everything that you give back. Okay. But also giving is a choice, right? Okay. How you secretly crave being chosen, led, or cared for. Okay. So it doesn't have to be a secret, girl. That's all I'm going to say for this one is like, it absolutely does not have to be a secret that you want to be led, that you want to be held, that you want to be chosen. We all want that. Just a lot of people hide it. Right? Like I said, like I was talking about at the beginning of the episode, is like a lot of people just like front like that. They don't want love and they don't want this, and, decentering men and, all of this. It's like, it's complete fucking bullshit. Like I call BS on this because deep down, people want safety. People want love. People want to be held. People want to be taken care of. And that's okay. I think it's time for us to just fucking own that. If you consider yourself a strong woman, strong women actually own their needs. They own their truth. So asking yourself every day, like, am I owning these needs? Am I being in integrity with what it is that I actually want, instead of keeping it hush hush, right? We're not doing that. Okay. The last one of how this is showing up in love is you leave when vulnerability feels too risky. It's like conflict arises and you're like, I have other shit to do. I got a business to run. I don't have time for this. You're like, I'm out. Fuck this. I'm out. Okay? And while there are times where that's valid and yeah, like you should be out and you should just be like, I don't fucking have time for this. I have other shit. I have bigger fish to fry. Okay. But then there are times and there's people who are actually like really worth going deeper on that vulnerability with. And there's many times where we actually need to just confront those vulnerabilities and move through it if we want lasting love. Because let me tell you, you just discarding people when there's conflict or when shits arise, that's not going to build a relationship of longevity or fulfillment or trust. And it's just going to continue that pattern that you have in your head of like, this always happens to me, or love is not for me, or all men are the same, all women are the same, whatever it is. And like, that ain't true. That's not. I absolutely hate when people say, oh, all men are the same. And it's like, yeah, I know a lot of them are similar, but I've met some quite amazing men who have changed my life, and I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair that we say that, because if they were saying that shit about women, it'd be a whole other story. So that's my take on it. Take it or leave it. So let's get into what actually healing the strong woman syndrome looks like. Okay. Now, again, like, we're not shaming your independence. You don't have to not be strong. You don't have to not be independent. But I want you to focus your integration piece around learning to receive without feeling the guilt, without feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm obligated to them, or whatever it is that comes up for you when someone is trying to pour into you. Okay? And an important way to get to this place is by learning how to express your needs before resentment arises. Because I think there's so many people who, like, including myself, this happened to me before, where like you wait until like you're just literally about to blow up instead of just like not nipping it in the bud, but instead of just addressing it right then in the moment and being like, yo, I didn't like when this happened, or hey, like I actually would like love help with this, and just actually expressing your needs before it gets to that point of resentment. Because once you've reached that point of resentment, I've just noticed that it's really hard to undo. And so especially if you really care about somebody and you want to build that relationship with them, don't let it get to that place. Like, just be honest from the jump. I always say that, like, just be fucking honest from the very jump, and you're going to see who stays. You're going to see who doesn't. And I know that can be hard when you really like somebody, but like, what would you rather? Would you rather like stay quiet and have the person that you like you back for you being quote unquote low maintenance, like we talked about? Or do you want like the real one to stay, where they see all parts of you? Who's this? Lauren Kren or Ken, whatever. I don't know him. I don't remember how to pronounce his name, but he like made this post that was just like rang so true. And it was like, no, it wasn't Lauren Kren. Oh my God, it was somebody else. Anyway, one of these writers who are just absolutely amazing. But they had said, like, you can't fall in love with somebody. You can't fall in love with somebody until you've like met their shadow, right? So like, let people meet your shadow. I know that's fucking scary, but even that, like, that is a huge part of having strong women syndrome, is just like not allowing your shadow part to be seen, because you want to have it all put together. You want to be the stable one, or you want to give off the idea that you're that, right? How long are you going to do that for? For real. Like, how long are you going to do that for? Because maybe that's worked for you, like being single, but when you're in a partnership, that shit's going to change. Why? Because the other person is reflecting back to you something that you need to embody, which is allowing your shadow to be seen, allowing vulnerability to be present without, and like trusting that that person is not going to abandon you. Okay? Letting somebody also witness you in your uncertainty and like your vulnerability is like absolutely fucking healing. Like when you can like see somebody at their worst and like still love them and like really understand them with deep compassion. I don't know if I've shared this story before, but I had this ex, and oh my god, he's a really good person, like really good heart, but he was a hot mess. So was I, but he was a hot fucking mess. Like I remember one day he showed up to my apartment and he was like super intoxicated, and he came up and he was like just really emotional about a lot of things that have happened to him. And you know, if you met him, you would see him and you'd be like, that guy's a hard ass, because he has that face, he has that demeanor, right? But obviously, like with alcohol, you let all your inhibitions down, right? And your emotions can come flooding out. That used to happen to me all the time when I used to drink. I don't drink anymore. But yeah, like he just broke down crying and really let all of those emotions flood out. And to witness him was, honestly, it was an honor. This happened many years ago, but I say it's an honor. And I know a lot of people will be like, oh my god, but like that's super toxic. He showed up and he was drunk and crying, and like, what? Like, yeah, maybe a part of it was not healthy, but he was a human being, and I'm not gonna ignore somebody who I loved and cared about. I'm not gonna ignore that, right? And just, I don't know, I think like when people need you sometimes, you just gotta do like what feels right in your heart, and that felt right for me. But to be able to like witness him and like hold him in those emotions, and to also like hold him physically while that was happening, like you could tell that he felt very safe, right? Now, am I gonna let this be a pattern, especially with somebody who's like not committed to me? No. But I'm using this as an example because I was in a long-term relationship with him. And there wasn't a piece of me that was like, this man is so weak. There wasn't a piece of me that was like, I can't believe he's crying right now and he's so upset. Like, yeah, obviously he's upset. Like, he went through a lot of shit that he doesn't fucking talk about, you know? So him, and even though this happened when he was intoxicated, but him allowing me to see him in that vulnerability was like, it was healing for him, you know? Because if you can, again, like if you can like show up as like your worst, or like as your most emotional, and like someone just like still sees you for who you are, like that is a gift, you know? And that just really shows us like what unconditional love is too, right? Anyway, I just want to be clear, I'm not promoting for you to like take your ex back when he calls you drunk, crying, or anything like that. But do what feels right for you. I know I did. Anyway. Okay. So let's just close with this. And I know that this already, but like, you just genuinely don't need to prove your strength to anybody. People can feel your energy that you're strong. And that saying of like, oh, like check on your strong friends, like this is like actually so true, because yeah, we be crying on our bathroom floors when we're alone. Oh my god. But seriously, like, you don't have to prove your strength to anybody. Like, I genuinely know that people honor people's honesty and transparency about like what's actually happening for them. And I'm not saying you have to share it with the whole world, but like when it comes to intimacy, like just don't, I really want to invite you to just be genuine about like stuff that's happening for you, and not in a way of like using your partner as a therapist, but just like sharing what partners would share if shit was happening for them. So you don't have to prove your strength to be loved. You don't have to be like strong and low maintenance to be loved. And the love that you actually want is going to require you to soften. It is. And it's probably what you want. Like I've talked to so many women, my clients, and just like in conversations with friends where it's like, they're these successful women, lawyers, coaches, doctors, just all the things, healers, all of these things. And there's so much in their masculinity, and hey, like we need our own masculinity as well too. But it's like, when does that start to get in the way of you being in your divine femininity and being able to receive? Because like I said, the love that you really actually want requires you to be soft. And I know that that's only going to happen when you feel the safety and presence of the right man, right? And so I want you to listen to your intuition as well too. And when I say listen to your intuition, I want you to have conversations with it. Like, have conversations around like, okay, is what I'm feeling, is the safety I'm feeling, is it actually true in my body? Okay. Can I actually soften? Do I feel one of the things that, okay, this is something that happened to me before. I was just thinking about this today, actually. And I wasn't going to talk about it, but it's very relevant. But this guy that I was dating a long time ago, I remember like I was at his house and we never did anything. Like we just like used to like hang out. Like we kissed once. I know, and I told you I was dating this guy. Like what? Really? We were just actually like hanging out though. But like, even like before we kissed or anything, I remember one day like we were just like laying in bed, looking at each other, talking about just like a lot of hard shit that's happened to us. Like he had gone through a lot of stuff, I had as well too. And then we just like, we fell asleep. And one of the things around like being soft and safe and feeling safe in the presence of someone is like, if you can fall asleep beside somebody and like that's when you know you feel safe with someone. Especially women, like if you fall asleep in the presence of a man, like your nervous system is really talking to you, telling you you can relax, you're protected, you can sleep. And like I took a nap, like I didn't sleep at his house, but like I took a nap and I don't know, we like napped for like an hour and a half, and then I like woke up and I was just like, oh my God, like I just felt so rejuvenated. And it was because he provided safety for me, like just energetically. So the love you want requires you to be soft, not in your survival. And it's okay if you're still in your survival while you're learning this and while things are becoming undone for you in regards to the strong woman syndrome. Okay. But just know that your softness, that like true tender part of you that's so alive, that wants to come out, let it come out. Okay. Even if somebody tries to take advantage of you, at least you know you were true to like your tenderness and that true part of you. And then obviously if someone's trying to take advantage of you, then you know what to fucking do, girl, because we don't let that shit happen here. But you being in your tenderness is going to be a filter as well too, of like, okay, like who's going to actually honor me and who's going to try and fuck with me. Little do they know you're unfuckwithable. Okay. And lastly, you allowing yourself to be held, to be taken care of, it's not a weakness. Needing help is not a weakness. We're all human beings and we need these things. Okay? It's literally a form of co-regulation. So remember that. If you're trying to heal your nervous system, co-regulation is also needed. Like, it's not just self-regulating. It's not. You need co-regulation as well too. Okay. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that this was helpful for you. Let me know what you took away from this. Let me know what you like. If I didn't touch on some of these symptoms of the strong woman syndrome, like let me know. Send me a DM. And if this feels like you need to share this with your bestie because you're like, damn, like we both be fucking hyper independent women and she needs to hear this shit, you best send it to her. Send it to her because she needs to hear it. Okay, also, it'd mean the world to me if you could rate the podcast. It just helps me get my ratings up. It helps me to make a bigger impact, and it would mean the absolute world to me if you could rate the podcast, if you could write a review. If you write a review and you're on Spotify, because I think you can only write reviews on Spotify, but you can rate on Apple. I don't know if you can leave a review on Apple. I'm not sure. I don't think so. Anyway, let me know. Take a screenshot of your review or your rating, send it to me, and I'll gift you something. A free session. I'll gift you, I don't know. We'll talk about what it is that you want, okay? I love you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next episode.